So, welcome back, guys. We're now going into episode 2 of East Intersection with your hosts, Sabrina and.
Holla.
Okay, so.
So I hope y'all are doing good. We took a little break and we're back for episode 2. We're just going to talk a little bit about our cultures a little more. Talk about like back home experiences, talking about disconnection from your culture if you ever feel that kind of thing, or even trying to like the preservation of culture, just getting into it a little more. Last episode we kind of talked about our culture, like our similarities, but we didn't really get into that a little more. I do know that we do have some similarities, but I guess we gotta like talk about it a little more just to find those similarities, if that makes sense.
Of course.
Right. So, maybe I guess we can start with weddings. I know y'all go off on your weddings. We do too.
Yeah, of course. Weddings are a big thing, I think.
Yeah.
In all of East Africa, no?
For sure. Like the songs that they sing.
Yeah.
I guess you could say dance moves. Well, not really dance moves, but like the traditional part about the weddings.
Yes.
Could you tell me a little bit about Somali weddings?
Yeah, of course. So, for Somali weddings, to start off, the girl usually wears a traditional dress.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like a guntina, what we call it. But so a guntina is something that wraps around your body. Usually your arms are exposed.
Okay.
And yeah, she usually wears that, and she switches out into either like a dira or something else. So a dira is also a piece of wedding clothing, which is kind of like a dress.
Like that reaches the ankles, right?
Yeah, of course. So I don't know if it's culture, but usually the wedding is mostly just for females, and the men don't usually come until the end.
Right.
But so it's usually females. And for Somali weddings, there's something called bramber, where
I know what that is. I seen it.
So the music is played by drums. Someone plays the drums, usually an older woman from either side of the family or a friend. And she plays the drums, and they make up a song.
Okay.
So they actually write their own lyrics.
Oh, on the spot?
No, they write it beforehand.
Okay. That's good. So it's still kind of on the spot.
Yeah, so it's a song in Somali, either praising the daughter. These days, there's a lot of tribe talk. So Somali culture is really rooted within clans. So they'll mention a clan, and the people that are a part of that clan will jump into the circle. So the circle of dancing, and they'll start doing something called barambur.
Okay, like represent kind of thing, right? Okay.
So, that's one segment of the wedding. And then it's very common to give meat on the wedding to the bride. So, cut up meat.
Because it's expensive, right? Or like for like back home, it would be considered expensive, no? Like
yeah,
you're right.
I think it is because back home you don't really have means of preservation, so there's no refrigerators or stuff like that. Like when you cut meat, you give it right away and you eat it right away.
Right.
Just to make sure it doesn't spoil or anything.
Right.
So I think it has something to do with that.
It makes sense. I mean, did you ever see like, were you ever at like a wedding from a different tribe in Somalia?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I was.
Okay.
So it's not really that different, honestly.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not really that different, to be honest. It's the same thing.
Okay. So like if you would like get into like the circle, it's only for your tribe kind of thing? Like
no, so they call out different clans.
Okay.
They don't only call out one clan, so they call out, okay, they do Swachron's going,
Okay.
Stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember actually on one wedding for my cousin. My friend was at the wedding. And she low-key like peer pressured me to go into the circle, so I went in. And you can also dance on behalf of someone else.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if they call someone else's tribe and they're not there at the moment, you can go in. So I did that for my aunt.
Okay. That's cool. I mean, the weddings for us, I mean, if you want to get like to what we wear, there's I don't know about you, but the weddings last for like weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think nowadays we, especially here in Canada or like in America or like, in the West, we do maybe like 3 days. But back home it'd be like a whole week, So like there's like different days for different like special occasions. Like, I mean, part of the wedding, but it's like different traditions in the wedding. So for instance, I don't even know if I can get into the order because it's so much. But for one, we have something called atlas. So it's a dress,
Okay.
but it's puffy.
Oh, okay.
It's puffy and it's very, very, very long, like longer than your to like
Oh, so
your maximum height.
does it have a trail?
It's one size fits all.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so like you lift it and then they tie like another kind of scarf around your waist to make it to your height.
Oh, okay.
And then it like puffs out. Like I don't even know how to explain it. You guys are gonna have to see it somehow.
Okay.
Maybe we'll like add like a little picture, if we can. We'll see if that's possible, or
Alright.
we'll put on our Instagram. Yeah, East Intersection, guys.
At East Intersection on Instagram, guys.
Yes,
Follow.
I guess exactly. So that's one thing we wear. It's called atlas. And then we also like have a headpiece. It's specific to the bride.
Oh, okay.
So it's literally only the bride wears it. Like if somebody else is wearing it, it's like let's say white weddings. You cannot wear a white dress at somebody's wedding. It's like that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right. So that headpiece is called siasa. And it's
Mhm.
like a triangle kind of shape that goes on the forehead.
I like the names.
Yeah, right. It's
Yeah.
very, I know. Thank you. So that's kind of like you wear that outfit when you traditionally, like back in the day, people used to go visit other people's homes. Like they'd wear that, inviting them to their wedding. So this is before the actual wedding. They would wear those clothes, and she'd go with her friends. So her friends would also wear those clothes, excluding the headpiece,
Oh,
of course, because it's
okay.
only the bride. And they'd go and visit other people and invite them to their house.
Also, like
I mean, invite them to their wedding, not their house. Go to their houses, invite them to their weddings. Yeah.
physically going.
Yes, that's
Oh,
what it used to be
nice.
back home. Like
because you didn't have like phones and stuff like
exactly.
that. Okay, yeah, I understand.
But now people can just call, and be
Mhm.
like, okay, my wedding's on July, whatever,
Yeah.
But we still do it like for
Okay.
yeah, we still do it traditionally. But we're not inviting them because they're already invited, but like just to keep the tradition, if that makes sense.
But
Yeah.
right now, like imagine like one of your relatives lives in Scarborough. You can't just walk up to Scarborough.
Yeah, I know you can't. We literally drive in our cars.
Yeah.
And then we go. It's just to keep the tradition alive.
Of
If that
course,
makes
of course.
sense. We do also have like another thing. It's called Gegen Nafi. That's the pants.
Oh, okay.
And then the it's kind of like a scarf.
Mhm.
Like a very big scarf. I don't know how to describe it, but it goes on your head.
It's like a shawl.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's a very good word. Yeah, and that's called the melfota. But
okay.
for the other one that I was talking about, the atlas, there's the headpiece, but that one's called the metfota. There's a
There's
difference.
a slight difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, we could really get into this, but it's it's
You were
kinda
actually
complicated.
showing me some pictures.
Yeah.
So you guys have similar clothing to Indian culture, no?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Back in the day, it used to be 5 specific colors.
Yes.
That one there's names for it too. So
Mhm.
the pants, the Gegen Nafi, there's the colors. Okay, white,
Mhm.
black, yellow. I believe they put like a purplish kind of color,
Mhm.
but I think it's supposed to be red.
Oh, okay.
And then a green. So I think those are the 5 main colors
Mhm.
that actually is a part of the Hari culture. And so that's called Bombay. Influence from actual Bombay.
Bombay. Okay.
And then there's another one. It's yellow and like black lines. It's called Hurdi Harir, which literally Hurdi is yellow. I don't know what Harir means. I have to figure that out. But yeah, we do have like the originality of our culture as well. But nowadays it's been expanding, and because of keeping the what's the word? Literally, the word is coming to me in my language. It's called like balich. It's like a sparkle. Like
okay,
they like to just to I guess upgrade the culture, I guess, in a way.
Okay.
Yeah, it is kind of influenced from Indian culture, especially the shawl.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes
So,
sense.
yeah.
So how long does this usually last?
Long.
Because Somali weddings last for 3 days.
3 days?
Yeah,
Okay.
usually.
Nowadays here it does last for 3 days, but back
Okay.
home it would last for like a week or
Oh, okay.
something like that. So yeah, that's a little bit. That's not even all of it, but
Mhm.
I guess I'll post some pictures on Instagram, on our Instagram. You guys can see some Somali culture, some Harari
Look
culture,
forward to it, guys.
just so you guys can get that visual representation.
So you've been back home, right?
I have been back home.
Oh, okay. How's that?
Honestly, I love it. Some people, they get over it within like 2-3 weeks.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I'm okay for a good month. I could stay there. 2 months is kind of pushing it.
Oh, okay. So you'd never consider like actually moving back?
Yeah, no.
Oh,
I
okay.
think I'm too used to my life here. I don't think because it's
too
very much.
westernized.
Yeah.
Okay,
you
okay.
know.
Same here. Not gonna lie to you.
Have you ever been back home?
I actually have not.
Oh my god, it's time to go back.
It's a shame. It's a shame. But yeah, I haven't been back home. I was planning to go before the pandemic hit, actually. But COVID and all.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, will I go back? That is a good question.
Would you go back? Would you
I
want to?
want to. But the thing is, it depends on what part I want to go back to, because not all parts of Somalia are safe right now.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
I can't necessarily, if I want to stay there, have a good time, great time, can't necessarily go back to Mogadishu where my mom is from.
Yeah, but that's where you guys are from, right?
Yeah. So it's going to be going back for the sake of going back, not necessarily going back to like, oh my God, my mom used to live here. My mom used to live by right beside Lido Beach.
Okay.
In Mogadishu. So.
But right now you can't go.
Right now I can't go back. It's not very safe. So I'd have to go to like Somaliland. It's safer over there right now.
Yeah. But you'd prefer, of course, to go back to, where you guys kind of, where your mom is from.
Because when your parents talk about back home, it's so much nostalgia.
Right. You want to see what they experienced,
yeah,
of
course,
100%. 100%. I mean, alhamdulillah, I got to, to go back. It was back in 2017. But we also did have kind of like an issue that was going on right after I left. Alhamdulillah, I got so lucky that I was able to go. Yeah. But like other cultures within Ethiopia try to essentially like wanted in a way to take over Ethiopia. So like every culture was kind of, or every
y'all
tribe,
are on the brink of war or what?
Kind of okay, a little bit. So like it was attempted. It kind of slowed down now. I actually seen some of my cousins go back home now. So I think it's safe to go back. But it kind of changed things, if that makes sense. So I get what you mean. But yeah, I mean, I want to go back again. I go there like how very often, very little.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's time for me to go back.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think my parents want to go back as well.
Yeah, for sure. My mom hasn't been there in a long time because most of her family's here.
Yeah, my mom either. My mom's been in Canada longer than she was in Somalia because she had to flee when she was about like.
Right.
6.
There was a war, right?
I think, yeah, there was a civil war. 1991.
Like I was 1991. I believe my mom came to Canada by 1991. So before that, there was also a civil war in Ethiopia.
Oh, your parents came pretty early.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How does it feel?
How does it feel?
How does it feel? You guys been here for a while.
I mean, not me. Her, yeah. Her, yeah, for sure. I mean, she remembers dates so specifically, and me, I'm like, I don't remember which year she was here. I think it was 1991 is when she came to Canada, or 1992, one or the other.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, how did your parents come about? Like, how did they meet?
My dad knew about my mom before my mom knew about my dad. So he came to my grandma, and he's like, "Yo, like, I want your daughter's hand in marriage."
Cute. He said, I want that one.
Yeah. And my mom was like, oh, sounds cool.
Yeah.
So obviously I wasn't there to know what happened. My parents are like a little shy from sharing these things.
Right.
So also I think that's a part of the culture as well, because you never hear about anybody speaking about anything intimate in their lives.
Yes, like, for sure.
I don't need to know what's going on in your house, but at least like tell me the background. Like, how'd you guys meet?
Right. We want to know what went on.
It's very secretive.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they met, they got married, came to Canada. This whole shebang, Like,
the basics, right?
Yeah.
I get that. I didn't really get the story of how my parents met until like afterwards. Like, Allah yarham, my dad passed away.
Yeah.
Recently this year. So, we were asking my mom, like, we wanted to know more, So we asked her, how did you guys meet? She finally told us,
Okay.
Because she was like, you know what, there's no harm to share it with, her kids. So, yeah, I mean, my dad left, I can't remember the years, but he left Ethiopia first because they're first recruiting the boys, right? So he left with his friend. Then my mom, she left later on. they didn't know each other then, but they met in Italy. That's another thing. We actually have a lot of like Italian culture, I guess, influenced into our culture as well. I feel like for you guys too, right?
Yeah, we were colonized by Italy.
We were about to be, but it didn't happen.
Okay.
Ethiopia fought back.
Is it Ethiopia that's never been colonized?
It's never been colonized.
Okay, you guys are strong people.
I mean, but their language did influence our language. You know, we do have a lot of words that are the same as theirs. You know,
of course. But when you look back at it, like what country has just purely
that's true
their own thing? You know,
that's true. That's honestly very
influenced from someone else.
Yeah.
It's a whole circle.
Yeah, the Harari language is mixed with like Italian, Arabic.
Of course.
I feel like you guys do Arabic. You have some Italian too,
Arabic, Italian. I'm pretty sure there's other languages in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I mean, I guess you can see like there's a lot of similarity between us. I mean, the countries are right beside each other. Yeah, especially Harar is the east of, as I mentioned last episode, it's the east of Ethiopia.
Yeah.
So
Somalia is bordered by Djibouti, Ethiopia, and Kenya.
Yeah. So
there's a lot of similarities.
It just makes sense. It makes sense. Yeah. Do you like whenever people try to guess where you're from, do they often say Somalia?
Yeah, most of the time I get Somali, but you know, occasionally I get something else like actually like non-African countries.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you.
Wow.
One time I got, like, are you Mexican? And I often get mistaken for brown.
Yes.
A lot of the times. I remember I was on a flight. I was on a flight going to Dubai, and there was a woman beside me. I don't necessarily know what part of Asia she was from, but I know she was brown, and she had her kid, and someone was just like, "Oh, like, can I switch seats with you? I don't want to separate you from your mom." And I'm like, I don't know this person. I don't know who this is. Like, this is not my parents.
Right.
But and then another time when I was coming back, when I was on the flight back from that trip, a lady beside me was speaking to me in Hindu or Hindi. I'm not necessarily sure what the language is. I think it's Hindi. She was speaking to me, trying to like get me to help her with her immigration papers.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what she was saying. I was trying to tell her like,
so sorry.
I don't speak the language.
You know what? I've also been like mistaken for like other ethnicities as well, but mostly Somalia. Mostly.
Okay.
So you'd have like some auntie coming to me, speaking to me in the Somali language, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, I don't understand. She's like, you're not Somali? And I'm like, no.
Yeah, we look like the facial features are very similar.
It is. It really is. I mean, when you first saw me, you thought I was Somali.
Yeah, I did think you were Somali.
And I was like, close, very close. I'm Harari, you know.
And I was like, Harari?
Yeah.
I have not heard of that.
You know what, though? Harari, like I said, like Harari people are mixed with like other cultures, right? For example, Somali. My dad has some Somali in him. He knows how to speak Somali, actually.
Okay,
so
let's go.
Yeah. So, you know, it only makes sense that you thought.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's the one thing. With the Harari language, I mean, I'm saying Harari language just because, like, my dad knows Somali, and people, like, because Harari people are so mixed, they often mix the language as well. Even though there is, like, a original language, it's often mixed with, like I said, I believe we said that in the first episode, but the Amharic language.
Yes.
And, like, nowadays, you would see people mix it a lot, but there is, like, the pure language itself. I mean, do you guys yeah, go ahead.
I feel like you mostly find the pure language when you're back home. Over here, there's a lot of English words being mixed in.
Right. And not only that, like, even back home before, if you ask me, like, back in the day, you know, back when our parents were born, yeah, for sure. But even when I went back in 2017, let me tell you a little story. So, my dad's sister, she asked me to pass her some keys, right? But the way she said the word keys wasn't in the Harari language.
Oh, so you're confused.
I was hella confused. She said it in Amharic. And for me, I do know Amharic a little bit. Like, I can understand it a little bit, but it's not like I understand it completely. I can get the gist of it, if that makes sense. So she said the word keys in Amharic, which is the national language of Ethiopia. And so I was like, what? She was like, you don't know. Like, she was telling me, like, you don't know Harari? And I'm like, I do. But, like, that, what you said, was something else, you know?
Yeah.
And my dad's like, she's telling you to pass, he said the word keys in Harari.
Oh,
And I
okay,
was
okay,
like,
okay.
oh, okay. And I brought it. And she's like, oh, okay. So your dad taught you like the, the proper Harari language. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. Isn't that how it's supposed to be,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm,
Amharic is the oldest language, right?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay, okay.
I have no
Something
idea.
like that.
That's a good question. I have no idea. I have no
Latin's
idea.
dead. Latin would have been it, but I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
Latin's like
it is kind of dead
barely
now.
existent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right. I mean, that's the thing about the language. Like, that's the thing about the culture, though, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
trying to preserve it. Do you guys see yourself preserving like the Somali culture, or like it's kind of already known within like people when they first think about East Africa, they think about Somalia, anyways. So, but do you see like anything
Yeah,
like?
yeah. Preserving the culture for the thing is for Somali people, if Somali parents see their kids lacking in culture or anything,
Mhm.
they usually just send them on the flight back home. Yeah, you gotta just hug some years back home, get
Yeah.
acquainted. Back home, you don't really do school. You do duksi, so you
Mhm.
learn the Quran.
Right, and the
So then again,
religion.
you see like how heavily rooted Islam is in
Mm.
Somali culture. So a lot of
Right.
the times, either if you're lacking in culture, you go back, or if you're not necessarily doing good things. So there's something called dakhan alis.
Mm.
So parents usually
What does
send
that translate to?
dakhan is like what is the English word for dakhan? Hold up. It's
The-
like behavior, or
okay. Manners.
like culture, behavior.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
that. And alis is like go back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So alis is return,
Yeah.
and dakhan is like the way you act.
Okay.
So
Your mannerisms.
yeah,
Okay.
kind of. So dakhan is culture. Let's just say dakhan is culture. That makes
Okay.
the most sense. That's the best translation I
Yeah.
can give you.
That's the thing about like the language.
Yeah.
There's always you have a hard time trying to find the word for it in English. Same
Yeah, of
thing with
course.
every
Sometimes I'll be
language.
speaking Somali and thinking like, what is the English word for this?
Right.
And I just end up just like, gotta show you physically. Like But yeah, if you're usually it's the boys.
Mhm.
So if your son is like causing trouble, like getting into bad habits, bad stuff, they
Mhm.
usually their parents send them on a flight back home.
Right.
For Dakhan Alice, they stay there for a while. Either
Mhm.
they get married there.
Oh damn. Okay.
Yes. Sometimes it's so serious. Like they get married there, like they don't come back for a while, and it's really I don't necessarily condone it
Mhm.
because it does more harm than good a
Oh,
lot of the
honestly.
time. Yeah.
Oh.
So either they get worse over there, or when they come back, they just have so much resent for their parents. Like,
Yeah.
you took me on a flight and you just left me there,
Right. But what they wanted was the best. I know
Yeah,
you
yeah,
gotta
yeah.
look at it both ways, but I get what the the child would like think about that and what the parents would
Of
think
course, and
about
that's another
that.
thing with Somali parenting,
Mhm.
necessarily. Like, it's not in the culture to open up, have some heart to
Yeah.
heart conversations or anything.
Mm.
Like, it's just you live life this way, you go by this way. Like, they don't really understand. Like, there's a big mental health issue
Right.
in Somali culture,
Mm.
and I do think it's deeply rooted within the fact that parents don't necessarily give their kids a chance to open up
Mm.
or just really get into like a heart to heart with them
Right.
or build that emotional connection.
Right.
So it's not necessarily something that is thriving in the Somali community.
I know what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
How culture? I feel like it's really depending on how are the parents themselves were raised.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you can see sometimes like some people in my community actually like some of them they're very expressive in their emotions,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but some aren't. I think it's really depending for us at least depending on yeah, exactly how they were raised, how they were taught to
Mm-hmm.
control or handle situations. So I mean, I guess
I don't know about for you guys, but for us, like if you're like overly sensitive
mm,
or like if you're really like open to your emotions, because I feel like over here, like everybody and they encourage you to be open. Like if you're going through something, seek help.
mm,
Like talk about your emotions. Reach out, turn to a friend.
mm-hmm,
But if in some like a community, if you're overly sensitive or like you talk about your emotions, everybody's gonna look at you like, bro, like why you so weak? Like
mm,
stand up. Like
right.
you know what I mean?
honestly, I think that's they speak that way because that's how they were taught. You know what I mean?
They're very tough.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
It's not common that you find like, I hate to say it, but soft parents. Yeah.
I mean, this topic could go on for so long. I think we would probably get into it a bit more in our next episode. Maybe, we can talk a little more about mental health and the pressures of your community, the culture, and how they
Yeah, because a lot of the times mental health plays into the decisions you're making. A lot of the time you get depressed because you feel like you're not in control of your life. There's a lot of different factors that go into it.
Right, for sure. I mean, I guess you a little bit more about like our experiences back home. Do you think if you did go back home, do you think it would affect your any decision in your life, like if you went back home?
If I went back home, I don't necessarily think it would affect any decisions in my life, but it would help me get closer to who I was, like who my parents wanted me to be. Because when your parents come to Canada or any other Western country, they want to raise their kids with the culture. Me, it's diluted a little bit. So I'd like to go back, learn the language, get acquainted.
You know what? You're right. I mean, back in 2017, they do expect you, like your family back home does expect you to know the language.
Yeah.
I mean, I did know the language when I was small, but as you grow up and you start to go to school in the West, you're going to be learning English. And my mom put me in French studies, so I'm learning French.
Of course.
She put me in French immersion, sorry. And so I'm learning like more than one language, and it's really about speaking to us in the Hariri language to keep it, so we always remember it. So when I did go back in 2017, I did speak with like my family a little bit, I was speaking Harari, but it wasn't like to their level, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because over here, like, you're not home. The only time you speak your language is usually when you're at home, and most of the time you're outside, you're at school.
Exactly.
You come home, you're talking to your family maybe for 2 hours, and you gotta go to sleep, wake up again, do the same thing again.
Right.
Very repetitive.
Right. Exactly. It's like there's no if anything, like there's no chance for you to really speak the language outside of your house, if that makes sense. I mean, there is like the community, of course, but they speak English too, you know what I mean? They don't really try to speak the language as well. But yeah, so when I did go back, I mean, I think it did help me want to learn more about my culture, definitely. I started speaking better as well. That people, when I came back, people were like, I didn't know you spoke like this.
Do people clown you guys over there? Because I know for some people, if you go back and you speak like broken Somali, they're gonna like clown you.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They're like, and then they'd be like, keep trying, but laugh at you while you're trying, like, do you really want me to try?
Over here, they call us the say wallahi generation.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Oh my god, that's so funny. But yeah, I mean,
or Hoya Matalo, which is a poor translation of like your mom's not there, but it's
oh my god.
Yeah, so they're either, if they call you Hoya Matala, like it's over for you.
Oh my god, that's like the worst of the worst.
That's the worst insult you can ever get.
Oh my god. That's so
it's
funny.
Like Matala is like, imagine like something's out of stock.
Oh,
like something's not there. Like your mom's not there.
Wow.
It's like your mom's out of stock. Yeah, well, it's so embarrassing.
I don't think they go that intense, but like that's so.
Sometimes I remember back in the day, because I have a lot of friends that went back home to like just hug a few years, because it's really common for you to just go back on a flight.
Okay.
So my friend went back, and she said when she first got there, they'd throw rocks at her. Like the kids around the neighborhood, like they throw rocks
do
at
that.
her.
They do that even for us.
Oh my god.
They do that. I mean, I never got hit by a rock, but I know people did. My cousins actually, they did. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
But
that's so funny.
That's the anxiousness of going back. Like that's Loki was like, oh my god, should I go back? What am I gonna do?
You don't want them to make fun of you.
Yeah. Also, like, I want to know the language, but like, it's very intimidating.
Yeah.
let me learn it over here first.
Yeah.
And then I'll go back, you know?
You know what? I thought that as well, but like, I don't know. It's just different. Like, I learned more over there, and I learned to appreciate it more as well, you know? I mean, our parents would try, but them themselves are trying to learn English off of us.
Yeah, of course, of course.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like a give and take kind of situation.
That's transactional relationship.
Literally.
Yeah, but I want to go back so I have something to like teach my kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
And that's the thing, you know, when our parents are not around, who's going to really teach our kids?
Yeah, because you really can't bank on the fact that your parents are going to be here when you do have children.
Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly.
You just got to go back and have everything. Or you're going to marry someone that's like more in tune with the culture than yourself.
You know what? I thought about that before.
Yeah, me too. I'm not gonna lie to you. Yeah, I have.
You just got to find the one. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? Preserving our culture. I guess that's one way. You know, we can, you know.
You can't preserve your culture here like to the full extent. You always have to go back.
Yeah.
Go back to the direct source.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, that's true, but you know, I also think that people like in our generation or even a bit older than us try to have that same mentality where they want to keep the culture and they want the younger generation to also know about the culture to keep it going, you know, where to the point where it doesn't stop. I actually have a cousin. He's he made a book. It's called TOM, the Threads of Memory Project.
Oh, sounds good.
Yeah, so they talk a little bit about the Hari culture, just so they can educate others, educate our community itself. So they actually have their first volume that came out. It's called Hari Culture Ceremonies.
Just a little plug-in.
Yeah, a little plug-in, you know. And it's the wedding tradition, so it's available for pre-order. But I believe they they got their first book, actually like physical copy. So, you know, guys, you know, if you want to look into a little Hari culture, it's called TOM, the Threads of Memory Project. You can find them on Instagram. But my uncle as well made a book, and I just figured this out the other day. I was talking to my cousin.
Yeah.
And it's my mom's brother. So I was talking to his son, and he was saying that you know, he was like, "Oh, you guys are gonna do a podcast. What is it about?"
Oh, okay.
And I was like, "Oh, you know, it's about East Africa, how we intersect with you know the cultures in East Africa, you know." And he was like, did you know like your uncle, like his dad has made a book?" And I was like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, it's called Harar Jogal. Jogal is like the actual, like where Harar kind of stems from, like where the original
source.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Original source. So yeah, it's called Harar Jogal, Historical Quality to Treasure. So you know, it's a little another plug-in. Okay. Another shout out, you know.
Is there a lot of people back home, or is the population like dying out?
You know what? It is kind of dying out.
Like
a little bit.
Is it better for you guys to like keep like actual records of everything? So
yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
That makes sense.
Definitely. Because that's the thing. We're such a minority. We're afraid that the culture is gonna die down.
Okay, that makes sense.
And you know, I think I don't know if these are factual numbers, but I believe people said that there's like 13,000 of us, or.
Wow, you guys are really small.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the more kids you get, like, you know,
everybody just has to go back home one time.
Exactly. Like, we're kind of all over the place, you know. We're so small that the Hararis from Toronto know the Hararis in Australia, for example, or in Switzerland, or in America, like someplace in America. So, you know, I guess, you know.
You guys are holding on.
Exactly.
Somalis are everywhere. Like literally everywhere.
There's a lot of them in Toronto.
You can find them in Toronto. You can find them in America. You can find them in China.
China?
Yeah, China. You can find them anywhere.
Wow.
Like literally, but the population isn't dying out because there's a lot of like very fertile people in Somalia. Just to keep it simple, like there's, you know, a mass population.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you think, let's say for example, do you think the culture would die in a way if Somali people started marrying outside of their culture, like not Somali people, like, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Over here, there is a big population of Somali girls mostly. guys as well, but everybody focuses on the girls, obviously.
Yeah,
you
of
know.
course. It's part of it. I mean.
Yeah. A lot of girls are marrying outside of Somali culture, and not everybody, but mostly the elders, they're not necessarily fond of that idea. So they do want to keep it like within the Somali people. Then you get into the other problem of when people don't know how to mind their business.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I know a lot of girls that are getting married to non-Somali people, and it's a big issue. Not an issue, but
like
issue.
I know it's not the issue, but
yeah, it's not a problem. But a lot of people are like upset about it.
Yeah.
For no reason.
I know. I mean, this is kind of the same thing with Harari culture. Like we have Hararis, marrying like Arabs, for example, or just outside of the culture.
Yeah.
Some parents are okay with it. Like for instance, my mom, she's okay with me marrying like as long as they're Muslim and have the same kind of belief and values and ethics and everything. Then she's okay with me marrying outside of the culture. But my dad, he's okay with it too, but he'd prefer for me to marry a Harari.
Yeah, okay.
Just because it's the thing about preserving culture. That's the main reason why he'd prefer it. Me myself, I think I would also prefer it. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, just because I do see it affecting like the culture and like the children in a way.
Yeah.
Cause like once if you do marry somebody who's not Harari, for example, you're gonna have to let your children know both cultures.
Yeah.
But usually I kind of see that failing. I'm not gonna lie, especially when it comes to speaking the language.
Yeah, it's really hard to marry outside your culture.
Yeah.
Like it's really hard to make the relationship work. Like you guys have to have a common basis. But
Exactly.
I understand people that do like succeed, go through with it. My cousin married someone Iraqi.
Okay.
So yeah, and they're doing fine.
That's good.
Yeah.
Mashallah, good for them.
But me personally, I don't think I'd marry outside the culture just on the basis that it's gonna be hard to find a common ground.
Yeah.
Especially when you do kids come into the picture, everything gets harder regardless of culture. Like,
Exactly.
So I think that factor is a bit much.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if I do, like, yeah, I do. It's not something I'm against. Like,
yeah, I'm not against it either. I mean,
it happens. It happens.
Exactly.
I never know what's
whatever
gonna happen
it's
in the
willed,
future.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, there's a question that I actually want to ask you beforehand, but do you think there's a disconnect in the cultural representation, like here compared to back home?
I would say so. On the basis that over here, everything in Somali culture it has a little sprinkle of westernization in it. You know what I mean? So when you go back home, you have everything's you're within the culture. You're living within it. So not much is different. But over here, you have influence from where you are. So I know for weddings over here, they have a little Western take where they have a big hall. The girl comes in with a white dress, stuff like that. But,
right.
I wouldn't say too much.
I mean, some people do that within Harari people. I don't see it that often, but they would have like a separate day for it. They wouldn't like include it with the culture, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if they wanted to have like the white traditional westernized dress or something like that, they have it for a separate day, not the same time. If that makes sense.
That's the thing though. Over here, with the parents, with the elder community, with your mom and your dad, the culture isn't much different. Like everything's like the same over here, but it's mostly different within the children.
Yeah.
So the children are more like the most they have with the culture is they speak the language very well. But like the traditions and the customs and all that stuff, like it's dying out.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, stuff like that.
You know what? I would say it's the opposite for us.
Oh really?
Yeah, I would say our traditions and customs are staying, but the language is dying out.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because like when I actually think about it, when I actually book it, I have a lot of friends. They can kind of speak the language, but not that very well. Me myself, I'm not the best either.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But in terms of tradition, like, like my dad, he taught me like the songs, for instance. Like I got the words from a friend, and And like I told the words to my dad, and he was like, okay, so this is how you pronounce it, this is how you sing it, like keeping the melody and all of that kind of thing. So yeah, it's really the language that I would say is what's dying out for us, for sure.
That makes sense. For us, the music is gonna be there. So a lot of people, the culture is like, there's a lot of musical influence.
Right.
Even before, like, so many people were always, there's lyricists. They're always writing down stuff.
Yeah, us too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing. Like the book that I mentioned about like my cousin, the first volume has to do with the wedding traditions, like the wedding songs and everything. So, that's the thing. Trying to keep it alive.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that the like diaspora, so like us, are more into the culture compared to those living like back home?
I think there's a fascination with it. Of course.
Why do you think?
I think there's a fascination with it because people, like, there's always gonna be that want to get to know your parents and where they came from better. So everybody's gonna look into, oh, like, this Somali song, oh my god, like I really like it, like, stuff like
That's
that.
me.
Or, oh, my dad does this custom but my mom doesn't do it, why is it that? Stuff like that. Because a lot of time I know people marry within their tribe, but a lot of times people don't. So there's gonna be differences. So I think people are like fascinated, they want to look into it,
right?
Not as much. Yeah.
Okay. I feel like, I mean, I've been saying it this whole podcast, but I would say compared to back home, I think we are, like the diaspora, we are more inclined to learn more about our culture just because we weren't raised with it like how they were, for example. They know so much about it, like the people back home, that it's not always on their minds. Yeah. That makes sense. For us, we get so excited when there's a wedding,
Yeah.
Because it's our time to like, look at the culture, represent the culture and all of that kind of stuff.
So a lot of people, like, the diaspora, regardless of where you are, they're always gonna flock together. Like, if you see another Somali girl, you're gonna go up to her like, oh my god, like, hi, like, there's always in groups.
Yeah.
Somali girls are always in groups,
Right.
Somali boys always in groups. Like, so we like to stick together, but it's not on the basis of culture. Like, you'll talk to each other. You guys have a common language to talk into, So yeah, you guys go to weddings together. Yeah. But it's not necessarily like, oh my god, like, we're both Somali, like, let's get into the culture.
Oh,
no,
okay.
But it's like, you're my friend and you have similarities to me. So it's that type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, even the connection between us.
Yeah.
Tell them a little bit of how we started talking.
Okay, so as you know, the circumstances with university right now are online. So it was one of our classes. We were online. I was in class.
Right.
And it was on Zoom. And Hal here had her camera on. Me, I didn't have my camera on. And we were given we were given a project assignment for a capstone. And it was to make a creative project based on, like, whatever terms you choose. So, actually, I wasn't the one who pointed it out first, but my sister, she was looking over my shoulder and she was like, her. She's like, choose her. She's seen a hijabi. She's like, yo, she's Somali. And I was like, what? Are you sure? And I was like, yo, like, because me, I'm an introvert. I don't really like reaching out to people first.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, if you think so. So I reached out. I was like, hey, you want to do the project together? And she's like, yeah, sure. So that's how it came about.
Literally. I mean, I'm a little bit more of an extrovert. So, like, I feel like it was okay for us to, like, even the way we communicated, even though you're introverted and I'm extroverted, it's kind of like the fact that we had so many similarities. I feel like you kind of eased, you got comfortable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for me, like, it's hard for me to speak to people at first, but like once I do, like, and I get to know you, like, it's all good from there.
Yeah.
Like,
for sure. I mean, I guess that's all we can really talk about for this episode. I mean, we could get into it a little more, but we want to, we
want to keep you guys posted for the next episode.
Exactly.
Keep you guys engaged.
Exactly. And we will have a guest speaker actually for our next episode. So
2 actually.
2. Well, yeah, they're together, but it's 2 people. So stay tuned, guys. We'll see you guys next episode.
See you guys in episode 3 or 2.
3.
3. Okay,
yeah.
episode 3.
All right. See y'all later.
Bye.